We just had our last call. If you want to listen to Sequoia's call, that will be on part one. We might try to put these together. But to get right back into the show, because I know most of you are going to be joining back over, let's get into it. My name is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We actually still have Vic on the phone, and Vic will be coming in just a moment after a few more articles. Vic, thanks for your patience on hold. Sorry about the disconnection there. Again, anytime we talk about G or anything else, we've been having issues lately, so it's kind of weird. Speaking of which, Xi's H-6 bomber spotted with new air-launched ballistic missile. It says a new weapon and air-launched ballistic missile, or ALBM, for Xi's Xi'an H-6K bombers has emerged. While its origins are unconfirmed, the missile looks very similar to the CM-401, previously known as a truck or ship-launched anti-ship ballistic missile. So these are to take out, say, a Navy boat or for any of that kind of thing. It says this is also capable of hitting static land targets, so a building or a base or a runway, something like that. It says the latest development seems to point again to the considerable efforts Beijing is making to increase its advanced air-launched anti-shipping capability, which is becoming a fundamental part of its wider and fast-evolving anti-access aerial denial strategy, or A2AD. It says, but even if this is not intended to be air-launched ASBM, or at least not in its first iterations, the ability to unleash it on land targets is very concerning as well. The initial photos show H-6K serial number 110097 with a pair of new missiles, which are presented with inert form factor representative captive rounds on the center pylons under its wings, arriving at the civilian Zhujiang Jinwan Airport for the Air Show China Trade Exhibition. As this particular aircraft is assigned to the 8th Bomber Division of the Southern Theater Command, People's Liberation Army Air Force, or the PLAAF, missile-toting aircraft from this unit have also taken part in previous editions of Air Show China. In terms of its appearance, the mystery weapon has obvious similarities to the CM-401, suggesting that it may be an adaptation of the same missile for an air-launched application. So they're taking their already very advanced missile and they're making it airborne and air-capable launched. Not good. One thing I also point out, and this is archived throughout our show, is what they are doing with these submarine-launched torpedoes that are actually port busters. What's really freaky is they've used ports that look very eerily similar to ours, with mock-ups that look like our bays, including the Puget Sound with the port of Seattle and I believe the port of LA. They've actually used it on places that look like that. Now, when you have these kind of things, they are actually testing these kinds of missiles and these kind of torpedoes on areas that look a whole lot like the United States. So it's kind of like, well, what are they practicing for? It's kind of obvious to me. Obviously, we know that we said years ago that we were turning away from, these oogly booglies in the woods, people in caves, to main peer-to-peer adversaries like China and Russia. We said that they are most likely our biggest threat, and that's where we started directing all of our training and all of our abilities to. This is the actual missile, and this is what they say that this is, and they believe that this is that CM-401 just adapted to actually be air-launched. Very freaky. Look at how big that thing is. I hope it is never used. That is being using wishful thinking. As you can see, the mechanism here that basically lets it go, and boom, done and dropped. Very fascinating, though. I wonder how does this actually work? It doesn't have anything wrapped around it. How do these missile things work? Obviously, there's no magnets that would be able to hold this thing up. Is it drilled in? Is it kind of, and if you guys are Air Force people, I'm sure the U.S. has something similar. How do those clamps, if the clamps are on the sides, I would understand, but if they're at the top like that, do they also have some sort of drill that kind of screws in and then unscrews and then it drops? I would assume that that's how they would have to do it. Or does the part of the top of the missile have kind of a metal piece that comes up, and then does that click into the actual holder? I'm just actually fascinated, like, how does this actually come off of that? And it's crazy design, all of these weapons that are hitting now. And then Russians hit terminal in Mykolaiv, rented by Chinese Foreign Ministry, addresses China. It says the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of UKR has called on China to demand an immediate stop of attacking UKR's critical infrastructure by Vlad after a recent strike on a terminal in Mykolaiv, which is currently rented by a Xi-owned corporation. It says that Nikolenko has pointed out that Vlad carried out a rocket attack on a terminal in the seaport of Mykolaiv, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, rented by a Chinese corporation. As a result, 17,000 tons of sunflower oil worth US $26 million were destroyed. I think it's, by the way, they must have known that, because isn't sunflower their national flower? Because that's, I guess, is that one of their big exports? $26 million worth of sunflower oil. That's a lot of sunflower oil. It says we're destroyed. Another terminal owned by China is under the threat of attacks too. The spokesman has added that UKR constantly draws attention of the international community to intentional destruction of agricultural terminals by UKR, by Vlad, as part of the Kremlin strategy to undermine global food security. Or at least that's what they say. The big thing that that is heavily put out there is that this conflict is why we are paying extra at the store. I'll let you guys decide if that is true or not. Again, my job is not to tell you if that's true or not, just to let you know that's what they're saying and then give you my opinion. Personally, I think that it's a very much more complex situation than that. Again, I don't know how much they use sunflower oil, but I wonder how much that will affect certain things if that's used in different products. It says armed forces of UKR are successfully operating in Zaporizhia Oblast while occupiers have personnel problems. So it says that Vlad's invaders are looking for someone to fill vacant positions in their illegal, quote, government in the occupied territories of Zaporizhia Oblast. Basically the state of Zaporizhia, or a city, right? It says, according to the updated information, as a result of the successful actions of the Defense Force units in Zaporizhia Oblast, over the previous days, the occupiers brought about 100 seriously wounded soldiers to hospitals in Tokmak and Melitopol. Due to the regular deaths of collaborators and their refusal to perform their duties, the enemy is holding competitions to fill vacant positions in the occupation authorities in the temporarily occupied territory of Zaporizhia. Now, as of collaborators, and in general, the Russian Federation is trying to hold the temporarily occupied territories, focusing its efforts on deterring the actions of the UKR Defense Forces on certain fronts. Vlad is conducting offensive actions in Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and Novopavlivka fronts. Russian troops are attacking units of the defense forces along the contact line, carrying out fortification equipment along the borders on certain fronts, and conducting aerial reconnaissance. The invaders continue to strike critical infrastructure and civilian housing in violation of international humanitarian law and the laws and customs of conflict. So, by the way, they point out they are saying that they're violating all of these things. They are telling the American people and anyone else who reads this that they are committing things that are even against the rules of war. Getting more and more people, it seems to me like they're grabbing our support. They're trying to get support raised on this conflict. I know why. I think it's because we are going to be involved in it pretty quickly here. And they're going to need approval. What I worry about, and I've talked about this over the last week, is will we need some sort of Pearl Harbor kind of event to happen to get us involved in something? Remember, in WW2, that was an attack on us, directly on us in our country. It was Hawaii, but of course it was our state, and they hit us, right? They hit us hard. It took something like that, and then instantly, overnight, everybody supported the conflict and supported going into it, conflict being declared, everything else. It was pretty crazy how fast it switched overnight. I worry about that kind of thing if something like this happens, or if they need something like this to happen for the greater amount of, the majority to actually support this. Sorry about that. We just had a little shake in here. A couple of my LED lights on the ceiling fell off. That was spooky. And then, what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to go over to the chat here in just a second. Thank you to everybody that is being patient and made it back over. Thank you, Yobi. Thank you, J-Girl, that's me. Skyhouse, Canadian, Vicky K. Thank you. Thank you again for showing up tonight. Cloud Farrell, hey, from the Bahamas. Hey, gosh, that must be fun. Kimbria, Honey Bunny, Renegade Petey. Just a quick roll call. Are any of you in crazy places around the planet other than the U.S.? Or let's do a roll call. Where are you guys from? All right, what's happening on the... Okay, so we have all of our platforms are up, it looks like. Nana Deborah made it back. B. Morris, Jennifer Gilbert. What's going on from New York? John Boy, what's going on? Logo, Pennsylvania, what is happening? Helen King is in Australia. Dorothy Tucker is in Washington. New Zealand, what is happening? Texas, Washington, Minnesota, London. Evergreen, Colorado. Nice. Kentucky. Somebody said North Korea. Wait a second. Now I know why my stream went down. Somebody's in La La Land. Wait. How did the whole half of the country comment that? That's crazy. All right, let's go over to our next caller, and it looks like Vic was patient through all of that. We're going to get Vic on the phone, and Vic has an interesting subject here, and we're going to be talking about the gentleman in Is that they say is some sort of messiah, I believe. And while we get Vic on the phone, I don't want to remind you guys, there is a way to protect yourself against EMP. This is why we actually have this as one of our affiliates. If you have not heard of what EMP Shield actually does, this is a device, and they make many different devices. They make one for your car, one for your boat, one for your generators, one for your solar generators. In fact, the Energy Flex 1500 that we recommend, that is the only solar generator you can get an EMP Shield for. This company and this device works to protect the grid and to, of course, protect our cars and everything else, and even your homes, with the device that can ground the signal of an EMP, in fact, all phases of an EMP, and a CME, a Carrington level event happens. This can protect you against it, ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry your device. So obviously you can't fit, your entire house in a Faraday cage, but what you can do is wire one of these in. You can wire one of these into your car. That's one of the simplest one. Anybody can do. You don't need to have special info. It's literally one of the easiest ones to wire in. It'll take you less than 15 minutes to do it yourself. And that way, if an EMP or a CME happens, instead of being stuck 10 miles away from home at work or something, or in the middle of the freeway, you will be able to drive home. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/EMP. You'll get $50 off per device, and all of their sales that are going during the holidays, these always stack on top of that. So this is a separate grandfathered in discount that we get for the Foogle fam. Not only are you getting a discount on something that will help you possibly save your life or save your ride home, but this will also help our channel. It helps us with the small commission. You get it at a discount, and you get an awesome thing you can keep for the rest of your life. So it is a win-win for everybody, I believe, and we are independent. So again, we need all the help we can get. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I like this more than any regular donation because obviously that way you're not just giving something away to something. You're actually getting something for it at a discount and helping at the same time. All right, let's get Vic on the phone. Vic, thanks for being patient and going through. Our entire stream went down. We lost about half of our people, but that's okay. We got about almost 2,000 back. Vic, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's happening?
Thanks for taking my call.
Oh, no problem. What is so?
Oh, not at all.
What's going on? What do you think about this this gentleman they think is the Messiah?
Yeah, so he's over in the in Jerusalem, we'll say. I'm not sure exactly what city he is, but he lives there. He's in his 30s, so he's a young man by the standards of the Orthodox rabbis. But he isn't claiming to be the Messiah, but there are Orthodox rabbis, like I said, in what I would say to the hundreds or thousands that are kissing his hands, saying he's performing miracles. Supposedly he helped a guy in a wheelchair walk again. These rabbis allow him in all of these sacred places where, only the most revered and respected leaders are allowed. And most importantly, someone says that they delivered him salvation. So some of us would think that sounds more like the Antichrist or the false prophet.
Most definitely. And they say that he's memorized the entire Torah, right? He's done something that I guess
Exactly.
Nobody else on the planet has done, but I'm like, my nephew is on the spectrum, and he is a savant. He would be considered a savant, how he holds his information. I would say somebody like that. In fact, there's savants that can tell you what the weather was like on a Friday in 1963, 40 years before they were born. So the human mind can do a whole lot of amazing things and beautiful things. So I don't know if memorizing the Torah would really convince me if this guy was the Messiah or not. But it is kind of freaky, and I've been hearing more and more and more about this. Doesn't it kind of tell you where we're at if this is what's being talked about, even by the most revered rabbis and things? Are we in end times? Is there a possibility that he could be some sort of, Antichrist, or could he be the real thing? Have people questioned if it could be either?
Yeah, there's some channels on YouTube. I can't remember the exact name, but you can type in "is that a demon?" and then type in Yanuka, the guy's name. I think it's AVS channel. I can't remember what the name is, but this guy is at some celebration, and they're all dancing around a fire, and there seems to be some kind of spirit or something that ejects itself from the fire. So a lot of supernatural type things that I think are going around this guy.
Well, it's definitely very crazy. We're not going to play the video, but we have it linked on our website so everybody can go over and watch it. Very trippy. Yeah, that seems kind of scary looking. That looks like something that would go on at the Grove or something. Obviously, many people are now questioning why all of these people are... Oh, and then, by the way, they say the Antichrist, that anybody he would talk to would just... Doesn't it say something like that anybody that they would talk to would be swimming in their charm, or that basically they would be... Whoever they talk to would believe them, isn't it? And that they would love him, right?
Definitely, yeah. That he was a force to be reckoned with, and would do signs and wonders, and very very similar. I'm not saying that I think that this guy is it, but just like you said, it's a sign of the times.
I wonder when his birthday was. Like, if he's in his 30s now, his birthday would have been in the 80s or the 90s or something. I don't know. It seemed like the birth of social media was the end of it all, but who knows? Well, Vic, thank you for calling, and we have attached that video, the one that you were talking about, we've attached on our website so everybody can go and judge for themselves and see that point of view from that AVS channel.
I appreciate it, and like I said, thanks for taking my call, for all that you guys do, and hey again from Plant City.
All right. Well, thank you for being patient, and thank you for, again, we dropped out of there. We'll try to connect the two shows. Vic, you have a wonderful night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. That was Vic, another great call. If you would like to call in, 224-400-MARF. And up on deck, we actually have Cousin Williams. Cousin or Cousin? Cousin? I think it's Cousin Williams. Another first-time caller, and going to talk about the rocket body live, and it's tracking something's going on there. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. Dex, since you probably have time now, I did want to have you pop in and talk about this. Vlad and his army try to subdue UKR towns by seizing mayors. Did you want to drop in on this one?
Well, yeah, this is what another interesting piece coming out of UKR. Specifically, not just talking about taking the land, but taking the literal mayors, like taking them captive, and so that's basically what they're saying. They're claiming is that while he's taking these towns, every town he takes the mayor, so that the leadership of the citizens there is not there, or at least is under his own control or under their control. Seems a little excessive, but maybe it is the right thing to do, given from his point of view, I should say, the right thing to do if he's trying to control that group. If the mayors tend to have a lot more, power in that town, with other things like, their police forces and other such potential powers. But yeah,
what if he's got a wall of
pieces that's coming out, and they're going to be allegedly doing things to them, holding them captive, etc.
I just see like a wall of mayor heads. Like they'll show Vlad in his white room with a bunch of just like the pest or something, with human heads like they're animals, like they're deer, and it'll be the mayoral wall. I don't know. Or are they just leaving voluntarily? Are they traitors? I just wonder if something is going on that we don't know about. I don't know. But Dex, what do you also think about the Bank of England? And we talked about the Bank of England and others when, a few weeks ago, everybody was freaking out because they were all of this talk about collapse and things happening in a matter of days. What do you think about this?
They're still spiraling. This is not a good sign. Now, by the way, I mean, it's not just them. We just raised rates too, but they're raising at a pretty high rate right now. So some of these they're claiming the biggest jumps that they've had in 33 years, I think it says. So just another sign of the economics. And, one of the things that we have to pay attention to when it comes to economics, not only is it our own pocketbook, which we feel here in, it's at the gas pump, or if you're trying to buy a house, or you're trying to sell a house, or if you're going to the grocery store. But the economics that happen to the other countries around us actually are good indicators of what may or may not be coming. It's also good indicators of what's happening globally and where things fit globally. So we have to continue to pay attention, especially to Europe, UK being, I guess Brexited from the EU specifically, but its own country, but still, or its own economic system, but still it's a big one. It's one of the biggest. So paying attention to the fact that what's happening in these economies is just as important as paying attention to what's happening over in G's economy, which is also tanking. So to the thought that a lot of people are worried about what may or may not be coming, or are these bankers, aligning things so that they can get something new done, which I know a lot of people think is coming as well. All of this sort of points in that direction. It's not like they're all making money and their markets look good and they're all, living the high life. It's getting pretty rough right now, and we're getting into the colder season. We're getting into more conflict between, in Europe, but also now potentially on the Pacific side. And who knows what may happen in the Middle East, so as all these things start to press against the global economies and everyone else, it's going to make things bad across the board. Fortunately for now, the U.S. still has the strongest economy. But we have to pay attention to everyone else. And if you don't, then you sort of have your head in the sand.
Speaking of head in the sand, really great comment, and I have to highlight this one. And Mr. Nobody, I would love for you to send me that essay. Mr. Nobody did a super chat, says, just turned 20 yesterday, wrote an essay on the coming war and why normal people should prepare. I sent it to my family and friends. All I got was, cool essay. Keep prepping, everyone. Much love. Mr. Nobody, congratulations for being one of the people under 24 that's actually paying attention right now and that's not just reiterating what they're hearing. I cannot tell you, there's thousands of these clips going around of them, asking about certain people, and they say, oh, well, they're racist, or they're this or that, and or they'll say misogynistic, and then they'll go, hey, what does that word mean? And they'll go, don't ask me that. It's kind of my point, the point I made the other day. We did a debunk about the misspeak of the German chancellor, and I guess a few people took what I said wrong. I just wanted to make sure most of you guys knew, most everybody understood it. What I saw was a very, very kind of scary thing, and that was that people were not watching the actual video. They were going to the top comments, and the top comment was somebody who did not watch the video. Somebody who did not watch the video saw the thing the subject it was about, and then saw the title says, "You will remember where you were," which was just a direct quote from the gentleman saying that, and it had the picture of the guy. Well, they said, this is automatically, they thought, this is a fear-mongering video that's saying on the 26th everybody's going to die or something. So they said, this video didn't age well. And then the second comment said, well, you're obviously very stupid. You're spreading this crap and blah, blah, blah. That video in question was a debunk of it, showed the context. We were easily able to go in and find the original clip, the entire speech, and you could tell it was about February 24th and not September. It was one part of an hour-long speech that was literally all about the day that they invaded, right? So you understand that it was somebody who was thinking of two different things, one sentence after another, saying the wrong thing. But my point was, and this is the scary thing, is people are not watching the videos. Even the people that say they're doing research on the YouTube, well, are they? Or are they going to the top comments and then somebody else who also did not watch that video, they're basing their opinion on the video on that top comment? And I know a lot of us do this to save ourselves time. We'll go to a video and we'll see something and we'll go, if a bunch of people say the same thing, we go, and I know most people have done this, where they comment on a video that they haven't actually watched, and they're reiterating what somebody else in a comment said, because whatever they read in that comment then brings up their own opinions on that subject, and then they just want to comment without even watching it, and then they skip out. My point was that this is happening on a grander scale. The whole reason that 26 and that misspeak happened is because information got spread around, and it wasn't even their fault. It was because there were people that they trusted that were talking about that day and about that stuff that essentially put out deceiving little clips. And it wasn't my friends. My friends covered that too. But guess what? They were getting somebody sent them a clip that was taken out of context. And then obviously if you take it out of context, then yeah, that is freaky. If somebody's talking about the future and saying you're going to remember where you are on this future date, that's scary. Okay? That's like, especially if it's somebody in that context. But if you took it in context, then you would understand. My point was not to get on the people that ended up saying, this is freaky, because it was. But the people that originally it went in a game of telephone. And this is happening at an alarming rate where people are not actually going and checking the work. They're not. And when you go to the young people, like Mr. Nobody, who actually are paying attention, instead of these kids that are just repeating talking points of whoever they are around. Most of the school systems are teaching all of this, and they're actually putting in it and brainwashing kids into one side or the other. I really don't see anybody pushing kind of the right side view onto kids in public schools. You just don't hear of it. So if that's happening, then I'd love to see an article or anything. And not to say that being on the left side is bad, but we're talking about extremes and then not actually having the proper information to actually form an opinion. We all need to watch those videos instead of commenting. That's how this is getting out of control, and that is the problem. You know, I complain because they're taking down people because, so say somebody else will roll with the misinfo, well then they'll make a big deal out of that misinfo going around, and then they'll start censoring all of us, right? So we do got to be careful. At the same time, we have to realize that this is happening, that there is general misinfo that's not even like that people are purposely doing misinfo. It's because it's through the game of telephone and it's getting changed. It's just like if there was a verbally passed down story, it's going to change. The game of telephone happens and it's real. I'll tell you a story, you forget one or two details, you tell it again, that person forgets one or two. By the end of the line, people have forgotten 8 or 10 of the original details and they don't know the entire story. And that's what's happening on the internet worldwide. So it is bad and it is getting worse. And that's why there is an argument for that side that's saying, you know, misinfo, but it's more like just uneducated. The uneducated or the people that are not actually watching stuff, that aren't actually researching, and that they're just repeating people. The main point is don't just repeat something somebody else says. Don't just believe somebody. Say, hey, where's your proof? Where's your evidence of this? You know, don't just believe claims about people. Go check their claims. Go do the searches yourself. It makes sense to figure that out. Let's see here. We're going to go into the man versus machine. Look at this. AI narrowly beats out human scholar in a test of scientific skill. No invention signifies humanity, ingenuity, and intelligence quite like the computer, a miracle of that modern age. Countless works of science fiction have predicted an inevitable confrontation in the not-so-distant future, man versus machine. Now, according to researchers at the Rutgers University, it appears machines have already bested humanity when it comes to at least one scientific subject. Professor Vikas Nanda of Rutgers University has spent over 2 decades meticulously studying the intricate nature of proteins, the highly complex substance present in all living organisms. He has dedicated his professional life to contemplating and understanding the unique patterns of amino acids that make up proteins and determine if they become hemoglobin, collagen, etc. Additionally, Professor Nanda is an expert of the mysterious step of self-assembly, in which certain proteins clump together and form even more complex substances. You can kind of see where this is going. It says, so when study authors set out to conduct an experiment pitting a human, someone with deep intuitive understanding of protein design and self-assembly, against the predictive abilities of an AI computer program, Professor Nanda made a perfect participant. It says study authors wanted to see who or what could do a better job at predicting which protein sequences would combine most successfully, Professor Nanda and several other humans or the computer. It says the published results indicate that the intellectual battle is close, but the AI program beat out the humans by a small margin. It says, what can scientists use protein self-assembly for? Well, and I'll skip part of this. It said basically modern medicine is heavily invested in protein self-assembly because many scientists believe that fully grasping the process may lead to numerous revolutionary products for medical and industrial uses, such as artificial human tissue for wounds or catalysts for new chemical products. Despite our extensive expertise, the AI did as good or better on several data sets, showing the tremendous potential of machine learning to overcome human bias. It's a very scary thing when it starts getting to that point, because you have to understand, if AI and robots get to the point where you have, say, deadly robots or robots that could physically hurt us, they will almost immediately start seeing the problems with humanity, and naturally they see a progression where they would see us as a problem or something just to be solved, which is very, very scary. As far as being able to do this, I mean, there are stories and rumors, and I don't know if any of these were confirmed, but I know people talked about possible secret robots, self-assembling themselves and things like this. it's just such a crazy thought that AI is now not only at the level of humans with some of this stuff, but possibly beating us in this area, especially when you have somebody who's spent their whole life researching it. Dex, it's kind of freaky to even think about.
Well, it certainly is. And when you and what struck me is, it's one thing to think about chess or some other more simplistic, not totally simplistic, but a little bit easier to think about a computer program doing that. We probably all played a computer chess on our computer or on a even back in the day they had little computerized chessboards you could play. But to think about something as complex as what you were describing this scientist knew in putting all this together, that's extreme. And I can't even get it. I don't know half of what they're talking about, right? So to think that they could write a program, and not only that, the program could quickly adapt and learn and beat out probably the most profound expert on that subject in the world, is a scary thought, because it's just one program and it's not hard to do. You can make a program for any of these different things. So, it should be yet another eye opener for this whole notion of AI and what the future of it holds for us, whether it's good or bad.
Multiple experts, by the way. There was others in that. It sounds like there were multiple people that
true.
were good. So this wasn't just one, but this was multiple, and they beat the humans out. This is something that has little to no oversight. This is something that people need to start caring about. I have not seen one anti-AI protest ever. Yet it is something that many experts say is more dangerous than nukes. You see, no war, no nukes, that kind of thing. But what about no robots taking our jobs? No robots trolling me on Twitter, Yeah. All right, and then let's see here. We're going to talk briefly about NK in a second here, just for a tiny second. I do want to say, by the way, Mr. Nobody, if you are still watching, I would love for you to send me the essay. I would love to publish it on our website. I would, of course, want to look at it first, but I would love to read it, and I'm sure everybody else would too. Don Bali, thank you so much for your support. Ryan B., thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Great channel. Appreciate you. Thank you from Canada. Joseph Nuas, hey, I made a short video with highlights from the show you did yesterday about Candy Crush. Let me know if you like highlight videos like this. Thank you. Thank you, Joseph. Again, I guess out of all the things, the Candy Crush thing was pretty interesting. It was Pierre Omiadar and his narc button. He said this was his chat. Bubble wrap still pink. EOD vet. The aircraft may have a vehicle door like clasp that opens and releases the lug like a car door. It says the wide legs are merely for stabilization to prevent minor shifts and reduce vibrations. Okay, so that makes sense. Going back to that photo here, let's see here. Yeah, this one. Okay, so that makes sense. So these are to stabilize it and just to hold it still to make sure it doesn't shake or anything. And then these are like the bolts that hold it on. Which makes me wonder, when it's flying, do those fall off after it launches? Or are you just left with like a screw hole in the actual missile so there's nothing hanging off? Because if you're going Mach speeds, that's what kind of fascinated me about this is, if there was even a little nublet sticking up, unless it's aerodynamic or a fin that's there on purpose, that would possibly affect how it flies. And then for Love of Country 1, thank you so much. Thank you for the massive support of the show. Thank you for stopping by. Seems about once a week you've stopped by and shown love. So thank you. I appreciate that. Zen1AZ, thank you, Marf and Dex Mods. Much love, Foogle fam. Thank you, Zen1. Thank you, Joe Voigt. It says, go watch the old video game trailer for Homefront. It came out in 2011 and has timeline that mirrors current events. Homefront. I think I've seen that. I feel like you're right. Oh, no. Homefront the game. I've played that back when it first came out. Actually a good game had all of the gadgets you could use. And then Don Bali, volunteer at your local food bank. It's a great way to give back, and you can meet awesome people. Jesus said, feed my flock. Don't just stock up. Help your neighbors stock up. If your area is not starving, it will be safer. That's a great point. Canine Therapy Inc. says, love your show and all the info. I even like the commercials. Well, thank you. And then FG, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for your super sticker, and very cool. Lord McCormick, Wiltshire, UK, home of the B-52. Also, you guys had a huge glitch. Guy was about to talk about future fighters having drones in support. Lord McCormick, you are the one who sent us that video of Wiltshire of the B-52s going over, right? I believe that was you. I mentioned that last night. Guy was about to talk about future fighters having drones in support. Oh, yeah, with it cutting out the show. About to talk about future fighters having drones in support. Huh. I'll have to go back and see when it actually cut, because I didn't know until a minute after. All right, and then Dex, let's get on our next call, and you had something to say real quick?
Yeah, it was about the missile, but go ahead. We'll get the caller.
Well, no, I want to know about the missile.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like you were asking about it. I was thinking it's probably recessed, the locking mechanism, and then as it comes off, then there's a door that closes. That's like, probably flipped back, that flips forward and locks, that makes the missile smooth, because you're not gonna have openings or large things hanging off of it, because that's going to change its aerodynamics, like you're saying. I think it's probably
even a screw
hole. Probably
hole
recessed in there, where it's attached is probably recessed, and then as it detaches, the recessment is closed off.
Well, what's crazy is you see at the top, in the middle, there's two like ice skate. They almost look like the bottom of an ice skate, and those are connected. So I'm assuming that those either go in the missile or they go into the plane. Some people are like, "Oh, who cares about all that?" I think it's just a cool, fascinating thing how they do these mechanisms. That somebody spent years designing this stuff, which it's pretty crazy. These things going hypersonic, you have to think about every little thing of the science of it. All right, and then let's get our next caller on. It looks like, let's see here, we are going to have Cousin Williams, a first-time caller. Looks like Cousin Williams is going to take a second to get in. I do want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, make sure to go check out Energy. This is a modular solar generator. One, solar generators are great because they do not take gas. You don't have to store dangerous fuel. You also don't run out of dangerous fuel if you don't have to store it. All you need is sun with this. Again, this is an awesome thing because it also can be expanded up to 96 batteries. Again, this is a modular system that works almost like Legos. The input and the output on the batteries is actually on the top and the bottom. So just to show you this right here, this is, again, one of the coolest things out there, and I do highly recommend people get this one because this is one of the most versatile systems. But I just want to show you. Some people don't get how it expands like this. If you look at any of the competitors, they'll be twice the footprint because if they expand like this, there's only a couple that actually do this. They'll have like a 2-foot, 3-foot cord sitting out the side that doubles the footprint. Now, being, tight and compact, that is a huge thing. That's a huge deal to be able to just carry it as a stack and be able to go anywhere with it. I have used mine. I have 2 batteries, but especially when I just had 1 battery, it was easy just to grab. With it and even 2 batteries, I can just take this and I can put it in my truck. I can do everything with this. I've taken and used it with power tools out in a field. I have literally hooked up a TV out to it in a field. This is really, really an amazing thing, but it's also a very, very awesome thing to back up your power. If you don't have any kind of backup power, if you've ever had a power outage or a storm, you understand how vital power is. I'm sure especially if you've been one who's stayed in a hotel because you lost your power, imagine not having to worry about something like that. If your power goes out, you don't have to go stay at a family member's. You can just turn the power back on. This is an awesome system as well because it is absolutely silent. It can go inside your home, so you don't have to worry about noxious fumes, and no one is going to hear that you have one. going stealth after an SHTF or any kind of huge disaster where martial law or something like that would get declared, you would definitely want to be on the down low about having power. So again, this is an awesome system. As far as the sound it makes none. It's running right now. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy. Use the code Marfoogle. You can get all the tech specs there. You can get all of the information. I would highly recommend the mods that allow you to actually triple the input. So instead of 4 panels, you can actually put 12 panels, tripling the charging time, or cutting the charging time in actually 3. But so go check it out. Again, these numbers that are all on here, those are all based on 1 battery. You can extend up to 96. All right, that's marfooglenews.com/energy. And then also in December, they're launching the X2. Go check that out as well. All right, let's see. Let's get Cousin Williams on. You are live on Marfoogle News. What is going on?
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, so you wanted to talk about the rocket, I believe, right?
Yeah, well, we can start with the rocket, but this show has gone from 0 to Mach 1 since I got on the phone listening to it. Number one, the rocket. There is a YouTube channel, and I believe it will end up in the links, called The Launch Pad, and they are tracking that rocket and giving updates about every 6 hours on where the next potential landing area is. So it's pretty fascinating, and it's only got about 3 more orbits before it comes into the atmosphere, and the last 2 tracks that it has on its projected path are right over the United States. So, kind of scratch my head and wonder,
Yeah,
did they launch that rocket on purpose?
Wait a second.
Did they launch that rocket on purpose so that it would land here?
Well, and by the way, that
practicing with the other 2.
They say that rocket was what delivered the last part of their defense, their defense system / space station, the King Gong or whatever it's called, the Kwang Gong. And then I'll just show you a screenshot of this channel he's talking about. They're actually tracking. At one point during the kind of intermission of this, it actually showed it just said a estimated re-entry of Florida. I don't know if it's now been updated, but that's what it showed on the kind of holding screen. But that's pretty cool. So,
yeah, that was last night. Last night's update at 7 put it landing on Orlando. I got a picture of it. Took a picture of it on my phone just so I have it for posterity in the future. But the rocket thing is one thing. It's coming down. There's nothing we can do to stop it. Oh, look, you got it up. So yeah, that's where everybody needs to go to keep an eye on where that thing's going to be. Number 2, the guy that's proclaiming to be, or not proclaiming to be, but being proclamated as in Israel is most certainly not what we are looking for. And if he is what has been prophesied in the Bible, then it's going to be a rough next 7 years. And
so if
on
he
the
is,
other side of
if
the
he
coin,
is the Antichrist, then
what?
If he is because you're saying he's not the Messiah from what you see, but if he is the Antichrist, then that's not good, basically.
And what Revelation says about the Antichrist is that he will come, he will be charismatic, he will be young, he will be good looking, he will capture the hearts and the minds of the people. And, there's really no telling whether or not what this guy can or can't do, and whether or not what has been professed that he has done wasn't a staged event. You know, I don't put anything past anybody because I know just how corrupt this whole world is.
Well, just to let you know, when I was a kid, we went to these churches where they would tap people and they would pass out. And I personally saw one of the bigger churches where they talked to the guy behind the stage and they got him ready for it because the guy was a fill-in for somebody. And they thought, oh, it's just a little kid. But I was like 7 or 8. And I remember I was standing behind because my mom was volunteering for that church. And they had this special guest, this evangelical guy. And the person dropped out and didn't show up as one of their persons in their show. And they had another guy, and he was telling them, when I tap you, you fall back. And the guy didn't understand. He's like, woo, like this or what? And they were showing him how to fall back after he tapped his forehead. So he said, don't worry, you're going to get caught. There's people there to catch you. And he's like, oh, and he was all weird about it. So it was totally fake. And I'm not saying that all of them were fake, but this one was. And that's that kind of stuff. If they are this guy in Jerusalem or whatever, if they say he's already healing people and people are walking out of their wheelchairs, I would say let's triple verify each case of that, right? So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'd say wait till we get a statement out of that little city inside Rome from the guy that wears that funny hat.
Yep.
Because once we get that, we'll know what's really going on. Because so far as I can tell, and actually what most people probably don't know, is that the Catholic Church is meeting with all of the other church denominations, and they're putting together a church consortium, whereas the Protestant church separated from the Catholic Church because they wanted to actually just teach the teachings of Jesus, not the Old Testament Jewish law. Crap, I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I just skipped a brain beat. But basically what it boils down to is you can't trust any of them. The church or the organization of the religious bodies, there's history upon history upon history upon history about how they've created this and they've created that, and they've basically, God, it's hard to talk without being able to say words. Basically, they are just putting on a show.
Well, what do you think? What do you think
God
about the man with the funny hat calling all the money back to the church?
I think that is part of the church's consolidation of power, because I honestly see a Sabbath that is going to be mandatory, and it is going to be a church-led climate coalition to reduce climate change by 1/7 by not letting anybody drive or go to the store or anything 1 day a week.
Well, that and only eat 8 ounces of meat per month. The show is about to switch over here. The show's about to switch over, and we do have a couple articles, so I did want to give you a chance, another minute to sum up your call.
Okay. Rocket's going to land somewhere. Need to keep an eye on it. The people in Jerusalem have got somebody that we really need to pay attention to. AI. Look up Google's Lambda AI. The man who made it sent an email out to the entire Google company that the AI that Google has created has become sentient, and he had proved it. And the day after he sent that email, he was let go and put on administrative leave without pay, and basically has fallen to the wayside. So AI is a big deal. There's a lot of art stuff with the Dolly, and there's a program called Crayon, and then there's another program called Render. There's just lots of AI stuff out there, and they can make AI. You can take a picture now and run it through an AI composition, and it will literally make a motion picture out of a flat picture.
Yeah, they're using it
There you go.
if you have old, people that have passed, or if you have a picture of your great grandpa, in 1800s, you can take a picture of him and make him talk. People have used recordings over the video of their dead, relatives, and then used voice clips and had them talk. It's weird. It's scary.
That's going to be huge. It's already going on, and basically they've already you can download a dozen different AI programs on your phone that are like companion type applications that you can talk to, and it'll talk back to you just like a human being with emotion. It's really kind of scary. The deep fake stuff that they can do with the AI now, and the ability to, I don't know, put somebody on stage that's not even really there with a hologram. I mean, I'm pretty sure Tupac toured all last year as a hologram. So we got a lot of stuff coming. AI is scary stuff. And we should all be very, very concerned with the people who are in charge of it.
Well, thank you,
Other than that,
Cousin Williams.
That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
I appreciate your call, and again,
Yeah, man.
Don't be a stranger.
I won't. I'll call you back. Matter of fact, I thought I hadn't watched your show before, but after seeing the battery commercial, I realized I've watched you a bunch. So I'll make sure I notify myself that you're on, and when you're on, I'll watch you. And if I get a chance to make a call and add some information, like giving you the tracking YouTube page, then be good for everybody. Mutual beneficial relationships is what we all should be seeking.
Yes. Well, hey, thank you again for trying us out another time. Again, be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. That was Cousin Williams. Very interesting topics, especially with what's going on with the holograms he was talking about. They now have not only Tupac, but they have these live meetings. The next thing is this setup that can do it live. So you can do a Zoom call, but with the person sitting across from you. Now it's pretty complicated with like 4 or 5 different units that have to be placed in the room. But soon they say that they're creating the science that could just project from 1 or 2 locations and be able to project a 3D image. Or they're already to this point where you would have the glasses that are projecting a person there, and it feels like they are there. Not only that, if it's mixed with your AR and your VR stuff that they're now coming up with, gloves, chest, everything else, you could give somebody a hug that's not there. It will feel. They're coming up with this crazy stuff where in VR, so if now they have VR that just vibrates when you get hit in a game or something, it vibrates. So it gives you, because you're in this zone, it gives you the impression your brain thinks you're getting hit, even though it's not. But now they're coming up with, so if somebody in this virtual world puts their hand on you, it will actually, the vest will make an imprint the shape of a hand on you, so you will feel them grab you. If somebody grabbed your arm, it would squeeze the suit in certain places with this nanotechnology. These little motors would squeeze your arm right there. It is so absolutely above and beyond what people even think it's going to be. And that's why I think that Meta is putting all of its eggs in it. They know where it's going. All this talk about Facebook failing and going down the crapper, don't believe it. That dude was the very top of the world for a while there and knew what was going on and what happens. I believe that whoever, stuck around with Facebook, it's going down. Facebook isn't going to be a thing because VR is going to be this huge, unbelievable thing. There are things that people said were going to be big and it wasn't. Now this is to the point where it can be. And it will be once more people get into it, because I've done VR and I'm blown away how it is now. But I've also seen how in just 3 years how it's advanced. And in another 5 years, it's going to be even crazier. Let's see here. And then, Dex, do you want to talk about the blood moon?
Wow. So here we have another lunar eclipse, actually. So they call it a beaver blood moon lunar eclipse, and it's happening on November 8th. I'm sure you all know what date that is. That's the big event that's here in America next Tuesday. So if you're interested in watching, you can take a look. It looks like it's going to be visible in North America, parts of South America, Asia, Australia, and NZ. So their information in this article will give you more specificity about the times and where your location is. But if you're interested in seeing it, it'll be there. And it's also kind of, a lot of people are drawing correlations to the fact that it's on the same day, but who knows?
By the way,
happens for a reason.
BP Earthwatch was in the chat, I believe. It's nice to see you, BP.
Yes.
Thank you for popping in. If you guys haven't, BP Earthwatch is actually on our friends page. I don't know if you guys saw. We have a friends page with all of the channels that we personally think are great channels that help everybody. Real BP Earthwatch is on there. When you go to marfooglenews.com/friends, you can find all sorts of great channels over there. Again, that way you can actually just click and immediately subscribe just by clicking on that red button. So make sure to go over there. It will bring you right to their channel. If there's a channel mentioned, it's most likely going to be one of those on that list or one of the mods. Again, the mods are at the top. The creators down at the bottom. Now, let's see here. Thank you, BP. It's nice to have you here. And again, so much crazy stuff going on right now. I'm sure you are just thinking the same thing, like, what the hell is going on in this world? And then, Dex, do you want to go over the web only? And then tons of good stuff down there as well.
Well, absolutely. And don't forget, everybody, we covered a lot of this NK stuff that's going on. And it was almost comical that we saw new news and we're like, wait a minute, that was yesterday's news. No, it actually was today. It's happening. Yeah. There's so much happening right now with them. So we'll keep you updated, but Adam did a really good short. So if you want to get that over on Marfoogle News, go there and share that out if you haven't seen it. We did talk about it earlier in the show as well. There's continuous updates in the overflow. So if you go to marfooglenews.com and you click on the thumbnail for the show, or if you're on YouTube or on the Umble, just click on the show notes link in the description. It'll take you right here. You can get to everything we've already talked about. And then you get to this overflow section. We've got updates on what's going on in UKR, Germany helping Norway protect the oil rigs. We already talked about Norway was putting their Navy out to protect the oil rigs. And so now Germany's joining them. There's a G20 summit coming, and there's like sort of a standoff between Zelensky and Vlad, and whether or not one will show if the other is there. A lot of other updates going on with UKR. Definitely some updates with NK. They're shipping artillery. We've talked about that in previous shows. There's been a little bit of an updates on that. If you're curious about the Hammer story, it continues to expand. There's updates there as well. That's the one in San Francisco. Then all of the political coverage is here. It's getting a little dicey. Some bang bangs are flying around, and lots of verbiage is flying around. Hey, on the Twitter front, it's getting really crazy there tomorrow. What I understand is he is laying laying off, or he is announcing tomorrow who Elon is laying off at the Twitter company, and he's locking the front doors, so to speak. He's literally turning off everyone's badge so they can't get into work, sealing the doors, and then he's going to announce who's going to get to stay and who doesn't. And he's doing this, I guess, to sort of protect the systems and protect the network and everything that's
so people
there.
are going to be at home. Every worker is going to be at home, and then they're going to sit there waiting for a notification if they still have a job. The previous thing that said 75% would be fired, he backtracked on that. But they're basically saying, so that nobody hacks this, Dex, they're basically turning off everything, remote access, everything, locking the doors, and then they're going to can people.
Yeah, I bet they've already done it. I imagine they've already done it today, and started locking down the networks and the VPNs and all of their secure access that these employees have. It's probably all been knocked off and only allowed in an office and only allowed under monitoring. And now he's going to seal the doors just to make sure that nobody can get in there and do any of that. And then by doing that, he's preserving, at least, and protecting those employees that will be sticking around, that do want to work for a company and do want to do work, to not have all this work and all this, all these components that they built and that they got to work on for the future to be messed up by people that are disgruntled on the way out the door. So, gosh, that's got to be a big challenge on his part. So that's in the news. Lots of updates with him. Apparently, some Fox News anchors are saying they're not willing to pay $8 a month for their blue check marks. I'd like to see them lose their blue check marks.
They will.
It'll be. Yeah, I'm sure they'll still have them, and they're going to pay that $8. I cannot believe as much money is in their pockets. They're going to worry about $8. They can go buy a Starbucks coffee, but they can't keep a blue check mark.
I wish I could get mine. Come on,
Yeah,
I would pay
exactly.
$80. Like, what? Give us a check mark before. Give us their check mark. Those Fox dudes can't afford $8.
Yeah,
embarrassing. Because you know why? They think of $8 as such a little amount of money. You know what I mean? It's I don't. What am I going to give them? My pocket change to keep my blue check mark? That $8 will add up. Every check mark on Twitter. Think about how much money that will be for the company. That would be a lot of money.
It would, and it would help keep it afloat. It would help. They got to run servers. If they're losing advertisers, they got to pay for that hardware somewhere. And let's not kid ourselves. It's not like they were making tons of money. They weren't making bank. They weren't running huge margins and just rolling in the dough like Facebook used to do. I mean, Facebook got to be as big as it was because it was rolling in the dough and making bank.
It's because they were taking payments.
They're the ones that pay the money.
The CEOs were getting payments from politicians to put their bots where they needed them so they could push the narrative. Same thing with other platforms. It seems to me like they were willing to lose money to further a cause, but yet the company is losing money, but the people working there that are making these decisions, I doubt they're losing money. I bet they're going to a fancy dinner or a ball or something, and somebody's writing them a big, big, big check or slipping something in their Ferrari. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Hey, Bezos is in the news with his housekeeper. You can read about that one. Homeless is on the rise. Has risen 70% in California's capital. That's a huge increase. And pharmaceutical companies are in the news. There's a combo they're working on, and there's some new information that has come out that may be of interest to some. So go check it out. All of that and so much more on marfooglenews.com. We put that together for you every day. And when you get past the overflow section, you can get to the callers tonight. All the caller information is already there. The videos that they showed, the tracking that they showed, that they wanted people to see, like the rocket tracking, that's all there. You can find it right there on Marfoogle News. And again, if you're on YouTube or on Umble, just open the description and click on the show notes link. It'll take you right here.
All right, and then, by the way, Survival Game, I saw that comment. No insults to anyone in the chat will. That's means to go. So let's see here. Did the missile hit yet? Well, the rocket is actually it's a part of a rocket, and it's being tracked. We actually have the resource for that on the website. It's going to be updated. I believe the channel is called The Launch Pad. You can actually track it going around, and you can track where it's supposedly going to land. I just found out about that YouTube channel, so I'll go check it out. And then Sign Digger, what's going on? Daniel Thiebolt, Diana Boss, it's J62. Thank you, everybody that has stopped by tonight. Thank you over on DLive for keeping it alive, and then over on Rumble, Thank you, everybody that is watching over on that platform as well. You guys, thank you. Renegade Petey, Kimbria, Hooney Booney, 420, thank you for following. Cloud Farrell, thank you again for being here from the Bahamas. Mert Strange, thank you for following. We're OTR Trucker, 205. Yobi, it's Jay again, thank you. DFW Jackie, of course, J Girl, that's me. Skyhouse, Vicky K, thank you for your attendance, appreciate it. Chance, thank you for modding. Jammer, thank you for modding. Wonder Woman, if you're in there, thank you for modding. Again, make sure to check out all the mods over on marfooglenews.com/friends. Great people over there. Check it out. All right, Dex, thank you for your service tonight.
Much love. Great job, brother.
All right, be safe, be prepared, and marf out. It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Big thank you to Trinity, Red Pill, or Blue Pill, Hi-Ho, Kermit the Frog here. Celtic Warrior, Zenwen Z, Carolyn Wilker. The Temple of Divine Truth. Thank you, James Wright, Jeremy Olson, Jungle Jim, Mr. Smelt Your Weed, Darren Schrader, Tina Thomas, Stealth Mode. What time is it? KT cleans a lot. For Love of Country 1. Thank you for being the top supporter tonight. For love of country. For the love of the 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 country.